Why our sons and daughters filling up the prison systems? It says, He, the Most High, did these things, He against whom we have sinned. But we don't consider what sin is. Neither do we know what sin is according to God that created us. We look into the world for all the answers when the world is set up to destroy us. That's why every facet of our we go after education. What happens? We get thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And now you got to work your life for the people, a nation that hates you, just to try and come break even. Then we work overtime and defile the Sabbath day, which is today, and the Father still destroys us. How? Let's get the book of Haggai. The book of Haggai, chapter 1. What we read, why the black and Hispanics, why we have the mayhem and the destruction in our lives, because we sinning against our God even unto today. But we ain't considering that. We too busy trying to follow the American dream. What is the American dream? It's a lie. Because it says that you will overcome your enemies. You will overcome your oppressor that God sent against you. It said that you will be equal to a nation whom God said will have indignation for us forever. So what do? We work. We defile the Lord's Sabbath day, trying to get overtime, trying to make extra dollars. And what's the judgment for that? This is the book of Haggai, chapter 1, and we'll get verse 5.
This is the book of Haggai, chapter 1 and verse 5. Now therefore, the Lord of hosts, consider your ways.
You say that, you see that? So all the Father is trying to get you black and Hispanics to do is to do something as simple as consider your ways. Sit back and examine your lifestyle and your mindset in the way that you think and see, is it lining up with the Father and what He has written in His holy scriptures? So He said, consider your ways. Go ahead.
Ye have sown much.
He said, you work all the time. You sow. Go ahead.
And bring in little.
And after all that working and all that time you invest on the job and in the field chasing after this so-called dream, He said you bring in little. You still can't afford to keep food on the table. You still can't keep the lights on. Go ahead.
Ye eat, but ye have not enough.
And then the Father say we eat, but we don't have enough. How you doing, brother? Okay, we talking about, we proving that according to the Bible, we the Israelites. We God's chosen people. And the reason that, would you say that our people are on the bottom in this world? We in the ghettos and in the slums. We the most hated people. We the most destroyed people. Do you know why that is? Let's get back to Isaiah chapter 42 and verse 24. Check this out.
This is the book of Isaiah chapter 42 and verse 24. Who gave Jacob for a spoil.
So who put Jacob? Jacob is the name of our progenitor, our forefather, Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. So we being his sons that make us the Israelites. So who gave our people, the Israelites, for a spoil? Go ahead.
And Israel to the robbers.
And then was not our nation stolen from one continent and moved to another? We was brought here on cargo slave ships, right? Did we come willingly? No, we didn't come willingly. We was chained on those boats, wasn't we? So the Most High said, who gave us to the robbers? Who allowed the nations to take us into captivity? Go ahead.
Did not the Lord?
Did not who?
The Lord.
So God brought us into. Okay, well, we gonna keep going either way. All right, brother. So what we proving how the black and Hispanics got into this condition that we in. It says the Lord. So God sent us into captivity. The Most High allowed the nations to come and overtake us. What's up, brother? How you doing? Okay, well, so then you come back to get a little more then. Okay. Of course. So we finding out, man, how we got in this condition. The Father, man, it says, read it from the top.
Who gave Jacob for a spoil?
So it's a question. Who gave our people for a spoil? You get what I'm saying? Who gave us to be destroyed, to be gunned down in the streets, to be on welfare, to be the first fired, the last hired. Go ahead.
And Israel to the robbers.
Who allowed us to be stolen from one continent and transported to another? Go ahead.
Did not the Lord?
Did not who?
The Lord.
So who put us in this position, brother?
According to the Bible.
According to the Bible. Was it the white man because he was so strong? Because he had guns? Because he had power? Read that part again. It says, did not who?
The Lord.
Did not the Lord. Yeah, so the Lord put us in this position. He allowed us to be overcome. Go ahead.
Against. He against.
It says he against, go ahead.
Whom we have sinned.
Whom we have sinned. So because we sinned against our God, he allowed another nation to conquer us. Right? That's true. We heard this is the land of our captivity, brother. That's why no matter how hard we try, we can never get on top. Captivity. Captivity is a punishment. It ain't for pleasure. It's to bring us, it's supposed to cause us to remember why we here. When our parents punished us, you know why they said it? Because today, did we really understand the magnitude of what we did? Of course not. So the more time we sat in our room, right? Outside, it just further put, you know what? I should have listened to my parents. I should have listened to my mom. When they told me to clean it, to wash the dishes, I should have washed the dishes, right? So the Father has us here in the land of our captivity to bring us back unto Him. He's trying to get us to humble ourselves and come back and keep the commandments that we broke. Because it says, he against whom we have sinned. We sinned against our God, man. Therefore, we're in captivity. And not only are we in captivity, but is our state getting better or worse? It's getting worse. Why do you think it's getting worse? I ain't saying it, say it loud. Paying attention, we still sinning. Like I show you one right now. Get Leviticus 19. This is something you might not have known. But the person that taught us this was not the Father. So this is Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 27.
This is the book of Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 27. Ye shall not round the corners of your head.
So the Father says, ye shall not round the corners of your head. When we go to the barbershop, and after where we get a box, whether we get our fro, shaped up, the last thing that the barber do is what? Exactly. So when he line you up, does this not sound like that? Read it from the top.
Ye shall not round the corners of your head.
So when he take those liners, does he not round the corners of your head? But what did the Bible say? Go ahead.
Neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard.
The Bible says ye shall not. But every barbershop on every corner, that's what they take pride and joy in, right? So where now they don't just do it around the edges, now they do it inside the head. Now they draw all over your head, man. Look at the magnitude of the height of sin that we go to. We don't just sin, we exceed in sin. You get what I'm saying? As a people, that's why now the Father's like, how much more do I have to do? Now we just had a brother, man, hung in his mother's backyard. And then just yesterday, Friday morning around 10 o'clock, we had a daughter of Israel gunned down in her house in front of her 2 children. Now, sisters ain't even safe. Of course, we know the black man ain't safe, is he? And you know what? We accepted that. We accepted it to where now we can try and wiggle and find our way to try and make the best of it, right? Now the Father say, I'm going to go further than that. Now I'm going to attack the women. All because when the Father say, ye shall not, we say, the hell with it. I'm going to do it anyway. So according to the Bible, it says we should not be getting lioness. Go ahead.
Neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard.
So our birds, as men, we're supposed to have birds. So you got to let the bird grow. You never even thought about it. Never even knew that the Father commanded us to do this because he set us apart, man. You know what I'm saying? He separated us. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 7 and 6. No, get Ecclesiasticus 33. This is what the Father did to us. You know what I'm saying? When he chose our forefathers from the beginning, he made a covenant with them. This is why we destroy every way we go outside of the Bible, because we are in a covenant. We're in an agreement. We agreed to keep the commandments, and the Father agreed to protect us. So when we broke the commandments, what did we lose in that? Protection. To where now all the other nations that hated us from the beginning, now the Father is allowing them to have their way with us. Now we without protection. So we got to come back to the covenant that was given us and then obey that covenant so the Father can do his part. Our part is to listen, his part is to protect. And then to reward us in the end. But this is what the Father did. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 33 and start at verse 10.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 33 and verse 10. And all men are from the ground.
So all men, it's evident, all men are from the ground, right? We's made from the ground, from the dust, right? Go ahead.
And Adam was created of the earth. In much knowledge the Lord had divided them.
So out of all the people, the Most High said, in much knowledge, how he divided them, because all people ain't the same. Neither are all people created to be equal. All the nations diverse. That's why we have different languages. You get what I'm saying? Not only do we have different languages, but we have different things that we supposed to follow and guide by. Our instruction is the commandments, is the Bible. Go ahead.
Some of them hath he blessed.
So some of the people that God created had he blessed. Go ahead.
And exalted.
And exalted. This is the so-called black and Hispanics. When he chose our forefathers because he was keeping this covenant. It says some hath he blessed and exalted. All he put up very high. You get what I'm saying? He put on the pedestal. You can't touch them. And we have those pillars in our history, like Abraham, right? Abraham was great. Abraham was called the friend of God. Who you know God to call his friend? God is a spirit. He is everlasting. He is immortal. He chose a man that walked the earth to be his friend. Why you think so? Because that man was obedient. That's our great forefather. That's our great grandfather Abraham. And then after that, you know who else he chose? His son, Isaac, and his grandson, Jacob. And then he chose another seed, David. To where he said David was a man after his own heart. So he said, the Most High said, the mindset that I got, that's the mindset that David got. And then he chose David's son, Solomon. You heard of King Solomon, right? Black king. One of the wisest men ever to walk the face of the earth. The Father said his wisdom excelled all the wisdom on the planet. So he was smarter than the so-called Egyptians, who we esteem as some great godlike men. The Egyptians came and learned from Solomon. They was amazed at his wisdom and his understanding. You get what I'm saying? So the Most High, he exalted our forefathers, and he's trying to exalt us. All we got to do is come back under the covenant. Go ahead.
And some of them hath he sanctified.
And then some hath he sanctified. This is what I mean. To be sanctified means to be set apart. So the Father sanctified the black and Hispanics, who are the Israelites, and set us different from the rest of the world. That's why I said, when he said ye shall have a beard, we got to have a beard, because that makes us different. When he said not to round the corners of your head, he said don't round the corners of your head, because he's setting us apart. So everything, all these laws, statutes, and commandments that he gave us, they make us different. And you get what I'm saying? So now you got to let the beard grow. America taught us that a man got to be clean shaved to be like a man. A man that's clean shaved, who do we really look like? A woman. Because a lion, he got that mane, right? That's how you know he a lion. Without that, you might mistake him for one of the female lions, one of the females, right? So then that beard shows masculinity. When we cut that beard off, it actually makes us effeminate. That's why we walk around copping attitudes and our feelings, right? Because we got that effeminate spirit by the way that we even carry ourselves. The same way that, like I give an example, go to Deuteronomy 22:5. And check this out. It makes sense, don't it? You know what I'm saying? So when we have that beard, it make us feel like men, along with the commandments. But when we shave it off, then we start acting all soft, trying to be pretty boys. Of course, the father man. Yeah. The beard, the full beard. Everybody trying to get a beard, and the brothers that can't grow beards, they wish they had them. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, the Most High, He is waking His people back up. But the thing is, we gotta make haste. You get what I'm saying? So let me show you another thing. So the Deuteronomy 22 and 5.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22 and verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
So now, what do women wear today that pertain to men? Read the next part.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. So what's a woman's garment? Huh? Garment is like clothing. It's talking about clothing. So when it say garment, it's talking about clothing. I give an example. Tyler Perry. Is he a male or a female? But what does he imitate? By wearing what? There you go. So now if the dress is the female's garment, right? Then what's the man's garment? There you go. So now, when sisters put on the pants, what do that make them feel like? They the what of the house. There you go. They say, I'm wearing the pants. I wear the pants in this house. Just like a brother is talking to his woman, he gotta snap her line and be like, hey, listen here, woman, I wear the pants in this house. Because that the man's job is to lead. But now when the sisters, they put the pants on, now they supersede their place and they trying to be like who? The man. So you see how the things that the Father give us, like you said, having a beard, that makes sense. Why brothers be acting the way that they act. And then when they put it on, you know what I'm saying, how they feel more like men. So it's the same as sisters dressing out of order, how they get that spirit that make them out of order. So you see how the commandments and the way that the Most High clothed us and tell us to behave, it makes a difference in the way that we view ourselves. It makes a difference all of them. And the Most High is saying, get Jeremiah 11 and verse 1. This is the Bible. It's the Bible, the Holy Bible, the King James Version. The other New International Versions, newly revised. Hold that and get Isaiah 147. So now check this out. The Most High, let me show you who He gave His word to, and then we're gonna show you who wrote the word. So then, Dre, if you want to grab a book, get 2nd Ezra. So this is not Isaiah, Psalms. Did I say Psalms? Psalms 147. To show you something, because so this is the King James Version Bible. King James was an Israelite, a black man that ruled in Europe during what they call the Dark Ages, when blacks ruled the world. He was not a European. He was not a homosexual. It's the same thing that they do today. You get somebody just like the brother, whenever Mike Brown, I can use that in Mike Brown, all the different brothers that was killed by the police, right? They was normal dudes. So after they killed them unlawfully, what do they do to them? They go and dehumanize them. They try and dig up all this dirt and say, oh, well, he was selling cigarettes. Right, you get what I'm saying? Eric Gordon. Oh, Mike Brown. Oh, he actually stole from the store. So him getting shot, it ain't no big deal. So every time one of our brothers die, even sisters, they try and dig up dirt to make them look bad. It's the same thing they did with King James, who the Most High put the spirit in to allow our records to be rewrote so that we can have him in his time. Now they say he's a homosexual. So you see how King James, everybody that's great amongst our people, the second they do something that the world don't like or don't approve, now they're going to go and try and defame it.
So get the law on homosexuality.
Right.
Because what homosexual
Leviticus
2. Makes sense. Every homosexual, when you try to correct them on being gay, they straight offend you.
Right.
And they'll be ready to fight you. If they're a strong punk, they'll be ready to fight you.
Right.
You understand? If they over feminized, they're just gonna leave you.
Right.
But no homosexual gonna write this.
Exactly. Go ahead.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 13. If a man also lie with mankind as he lied with womankind, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death.
So if King James was a homosexual, like they say, and he had the authority to have these records rewrote, translated from Hebrew to Greek, then wouldn't he leave that out? If you had the authority to have this wrote, and he was a homosexual, wouldn't he leave that out?
Answer that.
He would. So then that would show that the doctrine that's in the earth is a lie.
Right. And do ways that the LGBT,
Yeah.
do they think that what they doing is an abomination?
Lesbian, gay, right? They created a whole movement. They give it a abbreviation. Your lesbians, your gays, your transgenders, bisexual.
So lesbians is just women straight that deal with women, right? Gay is just men that just straight deal with men. You understand? Transgender, that's flip-flop.
Right.
Woman being a man, she pretending to be a man, and a man pretending to be a woman. That's the transgender. And what's the other one?
Bisexual.
Bisexual.
Where you swing both ways.
Well, you swing both ways. See, you'll do anything. Well, as long as it breathes, you'll do it. The question is, do they think that what they're doing is an abomination? Exactly. So that proves that this brother that had this translated wasn't like that.
Exactly.
That's the
Exactly.
point. Because he is saying that that's an abomination. And the vibration and the spirit is not different. The spirit associated with being a lesbian, a gay, transgender, or bisexual is the same spirit of ancient days, man. It's a demonic spirit. It ain't gonna switch up and change. You understand? So if it didn't, if it said that it was an abomination, then it would say it now.
Right.
You get what I'm
Right.
saying? It's not no difference.
Right.
That's how you know you can rely on that, man. Those are the words of the God right there. And the brother that translated did us a huge favor.
Exactly.
You don't speak Hebrew. If it stayed in Hebrew, you wouldn't be able to understand.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So God did you a favor. That's throwing you something right there. All you got to do is now pick it up and start changing, and you going to begin to have success. What we want to call luck. But right now, we shit out of luck. We can't get nothing to go our way. We don't understand because it's associated with our sins. Our sins have separated us from our God, our success, our so-called luck. But it ain't luck, man. It's a God that's affiliated. And you're not going to, why the nations, why they got this, and this? Because he using them as a tool against us. He chose us. He using us and he using them against us. They ain't caring about what they do at the end. They're going to be judged too. They're going to be destroyed. And they ain't going to be able to come back from it. But we going to come back from it.
Right.
The ones that turn to it. That's why we telling you, brother, to turn to it. All right?
Right. Deuteronomy 32 and we'll start at verse 21.
Check this out.
15.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 15. But Jeshurun,
So Jeshurun is talking about Jerusalem. That's our homeland, Jerusalem. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead.
waxed fat.
They wax fat because the Most High Man, the thing that he gave unto us, let me show you what he gave us. Dude, go to the 8th chapter real quick. So check this out. The Most High redeemed us out of the land of Egypt, right? Remember Moses said, let my people go to Pharaoh. Moses said, let the Israelites go. So when the Most High brought us out of Egypt, this is what he gave to our forefathers, 8 and verse 7.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8 and verse 7.
6.
Verse 6. Therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God.
So remember, we talked about a covenant, right? So the Father gave a covenant to our forefathers. He said what?
Thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways and to fear him.
So this is the agreement. If y'all keep the commandments, walk in my ways, and fear me, go ahead.
For the Lord thy God bringeth thee into a good land,
So because our forefathers did it, he brought them into a good land. Go ahead.
a land of brooks,
A land of brooks,
of water,
of waters.
of fountains and depths, that spring out of valleys and hills.
So you seen beautiful waterfalls, right? So all those waterfalls, man, that they show us on TV out of mockery to make us jealous, they belong to us. The Father gave those things to our grandparents when they kept the commandments. Go ahead.
A land of wheat and barley.
A land of wheat and barley, where you get your breads, your pastas, right? It wasn't no Snooks. It wasn't no Aldi's. We got that stuff right out of the earth, untainted. It wasn't additives. It wasn't preservatives. We didn't have to preserve nothing because the Father gave it to us freely. Go ahead.
And vines.
And vines. Go ahead.
And fig trees.
Go ahead.
And pomegranates.
That's where all your fruits, where you get your wines and things from, right? Your grapes. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead.
A land of oil olive.
A land of oil, where we had the natural oils. It was no perm. Our sisters had the natural coconut oil. You get what I'm saying? The olive oil that they put in the hair that when your oil just scalp and it smelled good, we got those things right out of the earth. We ain't had to go to no beauty supply. We ain't had to do it. We ain't had to go to the nations for nothing, because everything we get now, we get it from the nations. Go ahead.
And honey.
And honey. Go ahead.
A land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarcity.
And we ate bread without scarceness. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not lack anything in it.
And our forefathers, they ain't lack nothing. So if they didn't lack nothing, they didn't need nobody else, did they? This is what the Father gave to our grandparents when they kept the covenant, the agreement. You do with stones. What we standing on? Concrete, but concrete is just rock. Right? So out of those stones, what you do with stones, you build your palaces and your houses. When you look at the cliffs of Jerusalem, all those buildings are still standing. But you get a brick house over on the north side, let rain hit it too long. Bricks start caving in. A lot of houses on the north and west side caved in, ain't they? So you see how we had the best of everything, but something happened. Something happened. Go back to the 32nd chapter and verse 15, I'm sorry.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 15. But Jeshurun waxed fat.
But the Israelites, they waxed fat. They feel like they had it all to where they need God. The rich, do they need God? Not at all. They feel like they feel like they God themselves, don't they? Because they got money, right? Now jump down to verse 17.
Verse 17. They sacrifice unto devils.
So then not only did we forget God, but we sacrifice unto devils. And it's the same thing we do today. You know what that is? We go to the Christian church. We claim ourselves to be Muslims. That's the God of the Arabs. That's the false God of the earth, because Allah ain't no God. He ain't no rock that can't speak, that can't talk, that can't do nothing. Right? And Christianity created what? A European image, when according to the Bible, Christ was a man of color. So what happened? We went and followed every other tradition, every other false God that was set up than the God that gave us all these things. So even unto today, we still do it. So what we got to do, we got to repent, bro. We got to come up out of the churches. We got to leave, just like you got nephews, right? That they celebrate Halloween 2 days ago. See, that's the God, that's the doctrine of devils. That's the Day of the Dead. When the Europeans actually allowed us to bring our sons and daughters unto them as gifts to be sacrificed. Our sons was the treat. Our daughters was the treat. Now they put makeup on it and allow you to dress up in costumes and say, well, we'll give you candy. When in Boone County or something like that, I just saw it this morning, some little girl, all because we want to be like these nations that's round about us. You know what I'm saying? Deuteronomy 18. Deuteronomy 18. And we'll get verse 10.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18 and verse 10. There shall not be found among you.
So this is a law. It says, there shall not be found among the Israelites, the black and the Spanish. Go ahead.
Anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire.
That making his son or daughter to pass through the fire. So before, the children was actually killed on the Day of the Dead, All Hallows Eve, right? The children were actually killed. Now we willingly allow our sons and daughters to celebrate this madness. When the Most High said the law was, there shall not be one that would allow his son or daughter to pass through the fire. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Or an observer of time.
Or an observer of times, Miss Cleo and all them, right? Go ahead.
Or an enchanter.
Or an enchanter. So all these have to do with brothers and sisters trying to worship the dead. Now we willingly apply it. What's coming up this month? That our people, verse 9.
When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those
You
nations.
see that? So who created Halloween? Not us. So then what does the law say? Read it from the top.
There shall not be found among you
There shall not. That is a commandment. No, verse 9, right? Verse 9.
when thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
Did not the Father bring us here? Did not he get us to our great-grandparents, the Native American Indians? They were Israelites. We the same people. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not learn to do after
We was not supposed to learn to do after. Go ahead.
the abomination
Halloween.
of those nations.
The Most High called it an abomination. You know what an abomination is? A filthy, wicked act, something that the Father hates. What's coming up this month that people are going to be keeping in commemoration? What is it? What does Thanksgiving represent? It's the feast that was celebrated when Christopher Columbus destroyed millions of Native American Indians. They were of Israel. We the same people. So we sit down and celebrate and say, Lord, I'm thankful that you killed my people. That's what we be. And then we try and make it holy or try and make it right, but say, well, I'm thankful for family. What about the family that ain't sitting here? What about all the blood that was shed? These are not our holidays. Get Leviticus chapter 23. These are not our holidays, brother. And then get 1 Corinthians 10. Let me show you what everything that this world promote from New Year's Day, ain't no way in hell the year starting the dead of winter when everything is dead, January 1st. Right. That's after the god Janus, the Greek god Janus. Who the hell are the Greeks? The world had days, years, months, and times before the European was even born into the earth. So now all of a sudden he come in and he know when the day you're in and begin? Madness. So this is get 1 Corinthians 10 and we'll get verse 1 Corinthians 10 and we'll get verse 20. Check this out.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice.
You know what a sacrifice is? With every sacrifice, what do you have? When the animals were sacrificed, they were cooked, right? They was roasted over fire, right? So with sacrifices, you did have the Levites eat of certain foods pertaining to the sacrifice because it was their inheritance. So now in today's sacrifices, they cook a meal. So the things which the Gentiles sit down and commemorate and make a meal after, go ahead.
They sacrifice to devil.
They sacrificing who?
To devil.
They for actually worshiping the devil. Every holiday, every wicked day in this earth is the devil. Go ahead.
And not to God.
And who?
And not to God.
God ain't got nothing to do with Thanksgiving. God ain't got nothing to do with Christmas. They tried to be wicked and throw the Messiah in it and say Christmas. Because you take the M-A-S off of it, what word do you have? Christ, the anointed. When the Father in Jeremiah chapter 10 told Israel, whatever, no matter what time you live in, no matter what name they change it to, if it's a feast that they have a tree that they deck with silver and gold, don't do it. Everything known to man that we keep, the Father said it's the devil and not to God. Go ahead.
And I would not.
And God says, I would not, I won't allow it. Neither do I accept it. That's why 4th of July, right? How do they make that beautiful? How do they make that look like something? Firecrackers, right? And what be the end of that? Oh, people burn their house down. You have people putting their eyes out with Roman candles and the firecrackers blow up in their hands. You have cars get set on fire because when you drive down the street, they pop the fireworks. What happened? I would not, what?
That ye should have fellowship with devils.
That you should have anything to do with any of these days. Go ahead.
Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord.
You cannot drink of the cup of the Lord. You know what the cup of the Lord is? The commandments. You can't say you believe in God and you follow God. Go ahead.
And the cup of devils.
And you keeping all the wicked days of this world. The Most High ain't got nothing to do with it. But Leviticus 23, check this out. Let's see, are these days promoted in the earth? Go ahead.
This is the book of Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel.
Speak unto the black and the Spanish, because that's who the children of Israel are. Even today. Go ahead.
Concerning the feast of the Lord.
Concerning who?
The feast of the Lord.
Go ahead.
Which ye shall proclaim.
Which we supposed to proclaim. We supposed to keep in remembrance. We supposed to acknowledge. Go ahead.
Holy convocation.
Hey, holy what?
Holy convocation.
So where they get the word holiday from? Out of the Bible, it was called holy days. Instead, they took two words, put them together, took away the Y, and inserted an I. You see how they play mind games with letters and words? When the only holy days, H-O-L-Y, right? They said H-O-L-I. You see how they play mind games with our people? They making us think that these things is holy. Ain't nothing got to do with it. It's holy, but the Most High said, these are my feasts. Go ahead.
Which ye shall keep.
Jump down to verse 5.
Verse 5. And the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
It says in the 14th day of the first month is the Lord's Passover. You know the significance with that? When the Most High brought us out of Egypt, he passed over the Israelites and killed all the firstborn of the Egyptians. That's what we to commemorate. Another high holy day that's coming up, the Feast of Dedication. It's when the so-called Romans, the Greeks, who are the same people, because for some reason now we don't even know who the nations are. Now we lost our mind. These same Europeans came in and destroyed Jerusalem and destroyed our sanctuary. But the Most High God raised up a man named Mattathias and his sons who fought, retook the temple back, rebuilt it up, just like rehabbing a house. They rehabbed the sanctuary and they called it the dedication of the altar. They rededicated the sanctuary and the altar back to our people. That's what's coming up. And it's a 7-day feast. You never even heard about it. So I know you got to go. You get ready to take out. Look at the flyer, man. Check out the videos. Reach out so you can learn about the feast of the Lord because, yeah. So because this is why. Isaiah 66. The reason that you want to learn these things is because if we don't keep it now, it's a sin. You know what I'm saying? So we have to do the things now that's going to be done in the kingdom. So Isaiah chapter 66, and we'll get verse 23.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and verse 23.
Verse 22.
For as the new heavens and the new earth.
Wait. So check this out. Isaiah 66 and 22.
For as the new heavens and the new earth.
So there's going to be new heavens and a new earth. This earth is going to be given back to our people. And it ain't going to be like we see it now. Go ahead.
Which I will make.
Most High saying he going to make. Go ahead.
Shall remain before me, said the Lord. So shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to
pass. Go ahead.
That from one new moon.
The new moon means the beginning of a month. Right? You know, what is it? Ice Cube, wake up, it's the first day of the month, right? So the new moon tells us when a new month starts and a new moon and a month ends, right? That's how we determine the times. So the new moon is a holy day that we're supposed to keep. Go ahead.
To another.
Go ahead.
And from one Sabbath to another shall all flesh come to worship before me.
So all the feast days we gonna keep in the kingdom of the Lord. But we gotta learn those things now so that we can keep them now and even keep them in the kingdom. So it's a lot of information, brother, that you got to learn so that the Father, you can be ready. You know what I'm saying? In that day. All right, bro? All right. So we're going to keep going. Where was we at before then? Deuteronomy 32. This is Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 15.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 15. But Jeshurun waxed fat.
Right, so we speaking to the 12 tribes of Israel, who are the so-called black and Hispanics, Native American Indians, Seminole Indians, and all those of Latino and Hispanic descent. And what we out here to preach and to tell you is that we are the 12 tribes of Israel, God's chosen people. And the Father has sent us out here to bring us back unto Him, to restore us back to Him, and to explain to us why we got all the troubles that we have. Why our houses are out of order. Why the men are out of order. Why the sisters out of order. All because we sacrifice unto the gods of this world instead of following the God of the Bible, who's our God, who's the God of Israel. And we'll prove that. Get Joel chapter 2. Joel chapter 2. It's after Daniel. After Daniel. Keep going. This is Joel chapter 2, and we'll get verse 27.
This is the book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 27.
Hey, how you doing, sis? We out here teaching that the black and Hispanics, we the Israelites. And as us being the Israelites, we the real Jews. We not the fake Jews. The people that's professing to be Jews with the beanies on their head, they liars. They stole our identity, and they are the ones who actually sold finance selling us into captivity. And the reason that is important, because you believe in God, right? Well, check this out. This is Joel chapter 2 verse 27.
This is the book of Joel chapter 2 and verse 27. And ye shall know.
God says, and ye shall know, go ahead,
that I am in the midst of Israel.
God says He is in the midst of the black and Hispanics who are the Israelites. Go ahead.
And that I am the Lord.
And that He is the Lord. Go ahead.
Your God.
He's our God. Go ahead.
And none else.
And none else. So God is the God of the black and Hispanics, the God of the Hebrews, the God of the children of Israel. He ain't the God of no other nation on the face of this earth, even though He created them. He's our God, and by Him being our God, we got to come back and be obedient children. And the way we be obedient children is by keeping the command. Let me show you one. Let me show you one too. 1 Corinthians 11. Y'all pray? You pray? You pray, sis? Okay, well, let me show you how the Father say our sisters should pray. This is 1 Corinthians 11, and we'll get verse 5. Check this out.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 5. But every woman that prayed or prophesied with her head uncovered.
So it says every woman that pray or prophesy with her head uncovered. Go ahead.
Dishonoreth her head.
Go ahead. So when sisters pray, they should actually have a covering on. Like you may have a scarf or a skull cap, even if all you got is a hood. You do that when you send up prayers, and the Father say He'll accept that. The same way, so now go to verse 4.
Verse 4. Every man praying or prophesying having his head covered.
That's why you see us brothers, we don't have our hoods on, even in the cold weather. You be probably sitting there and wondering, it's cold, they need to put a hat on their head. That's how mothers are, right? They quick to tell the church, go, you better put that hat on. So we being obedient unto the Father by making sure our head is uncovered while we pray or prophesy, meaning teach the Bible, regardless of the situation. So that you take that with you, sis. The Father wants our sisters to have their heads covered when they pray. And He accepts it. Verse 13. Check this out.
Verse 13. Judging yourselves.
So now the Father said, judging yourselves. Go ahead.
Is it comely?
Is it beautiful? Is it appropriate? Go ahead.
That a woman pray unto God uncovered?
Is it right that a sister should pray unto God uncovered? No. So, take that with you, sis. You got the flyer. Research a little more, all right? All right. Let's go to back to Jeremiah 11. Right, bro. You listening? You understand that about covering? About how brothers, when we teach in the Bible, or even when we praying, we gotta take all hats and hoods and scarves off. You know what I'm saying? And then he gonna set us back up in our natural order. You get what I'm saying? Because the thing about the black and Hispanics who are the Israelites, God is our God. God chose us above all nations on the face of the earth to be his chosen people. And the thing that he did with us is Jeremiah chapter 11 and verse 1.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 11 and verse 1. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Hear ye the words of this covenant.
Right, so the Most High told our forefathers, and he bringing us back to remembrance to hear the words of his covenant. Go ahead.
And speak unto the men of Judah.
And then speak unto the Judites, who are the so-called African Americans we believe today. Go ahead.
And to the inhabitants of Jerusalem.
And to all the other 11 tribes, the so-called Puerto Ricans, Haitians, Dominicans, the Brazilians. You know what I'm saying? We all the same nation of people, the children of Israel. We just scattered into different parts of the world. But the Father is bringing us back and saying, remember his covenant. Because it's important for us to remember the covenant, which is the agreement that we made to keep the commandments. Go ahead.
And say unto them,
Go ahead.
Thus said the Lord.
So thus said the Lord our God. Go ahead.
Of Israel, cursed be the man that obeyeth not the words of this covenant.
So now the Father is reminding us that we are cursed if we don't obey the words of this covenant. You get what I'm saying? One of the covenant celebrate the holidays of this world because they have nothing to do with God, not even Christmas. Jeremiah chapter 10. Because now what they call it is what season? The holiday season, right? Everybody gearing up for all these different festivals that this world gave to us. Let's see one that the Father say walk away from. Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 1.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10 and verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus, for the customs of the people are vain.
God says the customs of the people are vain. A custom is a tradition. Go ahead.
For one cutteth the tree out of the forest.
Sister, what holiday or tradition today uses a tree out of the forest? How about Christmas? Go ahead.
The work of the hands of the workmen with an axe. They deck it with silver.
So there's a custom today that's kept to where they take a tree and they deck it with silver. Go ahead.
And with gold.
And with gold. What custom is that? What custom is that we keep today, brother? They use a tree that they deck with silver and gold. I can't hear you. Say it loud. Don't be afraid. How about Christmas, right? They say, oh, we gonna decorate. They call all the children to say we gonna decorate the Christmas tree, right? But the Father said in verse 2. Let's see what he said about the Christmas tree and that custom. Go ahead.
Thus said the Lord, learn not.
God says, learn not. I mean, he said, don't follow. So Christmas is not of God. It don't have nothing to do with God, even though the pastor's preaching in church. You don't celebrate it? That's good. That's good. You're actually saving yourself from some wrath. So now you got to add onto that, and now you got to add a few more commandments, right? Right. How about let's get Leviticus 18. Check this out. Leviticus 18. So now, a lot of brothers, man, this be in our mind, and a lot of brothers, this be something we want to do at least once in our lifetime, right? Check this out. Leviticus chapter 18, and we'll get verse 18. Check this out. Tell me if this sounds. Tell me what this sounds like.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 18. Neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister.
It says, neither shalt thou take a wife and her sister. Check this out. Go ahead.
To vex her.
To vex her how?
To uncover her nakedness.
To uncover her nakedness. Go ahead.
Beside the other.
Beside the other. So what that sound like? You got what? You got a man. He got one woman, and hey, no, that ain't what it said. It said not to have menage a trois. You get what I'm saying? The Most High, a man having more than one wife is not a sin according to the Bible. It has to be in order of the father. Because you do have our forefathers that had multiple wives, but it was not wickedness. Because check this out. Now you get Exodus 18 and verse 21. A lot of people they don't understand the law. You get what I'm saying? And we can't go and create a law because we think something is acceptable. You get what I'm saying? So Leviticus 18 and 21 and 10. Check this out.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 21 and verse 10. And he that is the high priest among
Exodus 21. I'm sorry. Exodus 21.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 21 and verse 10. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish.
So a man that has one wife is a great responsibility. He's responsible for teaching. He's responsible for being a provider, right? All right, brother. All right, brother. Yeah. So Genesis 29. So now a brother that's going to take a second wife, he got to first have the first situation in order, and he's got to be responsible. He's got to have the ability to support a second family. You get what I'm saying? And not just, he ain't looking at it for lust. Because according to the law, that wasn't how we supposed to get Tobit. And you said that was Genesis 29? Okay. So this is Tobit. We're going to see how Tobit felt. So this is Tobit chapter 8, and we'll get verse 5.
This is the book of Tobit, chapter 8 and verse 5. Then began Tobias to say, Blessed art thou, O God of our fathers, and blessed is thy holy and glorious name forever. Let the heavens bless thee.
We'll get to the point. Verse 7.
Verse 7.
Verse 6.
Verse 6. Thou madest Adam and gavest him Eve, his wife, for a helper and stay. Of them came mankind. Thou hast said, It is not good that man should be alone. Let us make unto him an aid like unto himself. And now, O Lord, I take not this my sister for lust.
Right, so now, a brother has a wife and he's considering a second wife. So the father is using Tobit to set an example for us. He said, I take not who?
This my sister.
Go ahead.
For lust.
For lust. So a brother that's looking for another wife because he just want to have more sex, that's wicked. We ain't supposed to take a sister for lust. Go ahead.
But uprightly,
what would make it upright? Let's get Genesis chapter 29, verse 29. So this is Genesis chapter 30. This is Genesis chapter 30, and we'll get verse 1. Go ahead, brother. You fine. Go ahead. Hey, well, check. Let me show you something real quick. Deuteronomy 7. Deuteronomy 7, brother. Deuteronomy 7. No. Exodus 20. Then Yahshua said Deuteronomy 4. Right. About the image. That's 4, right? That's 7? Okay. So we get Exodus chapter 20. What's your name, brother? You with me? You still with me? What's your name, bro? No, Tony? Thurman. How you doing, Thurman? I'm the water. So this is something that the Father, some commandments that he gave to our forefathers that he bringing back to our remembrance. You get what I'm saying? Exodus 20 and verse 1.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 1. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Right, so the Father, he brought us out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Go ahead.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
The Most High said we wasn't supposed to have any other gods before him. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image.
Look at what you're doing. So relax, okay? Just relax.
So it says, so then he said, just stand and listen, brother. It says, thou shalt not make unto us any graven image. A graven image is something that's created. Step over here, bro, so you can step out in front. He said we not to make any graven images, right? So the things that are created in the earth that we were about our now, we put them on chains. Whether it's a whether it's a cross, the Father from the beginning never told us to have that. You know what I'm saying? What is this thing that you wear around your neck? What does it represent? Isn't it like an ankh? Right. So the ankh has to do with who? Well, step out there with that. It's more who? Right. Well, remember, Christ was a man that did not sin, right? So who is it? So get 1 Corinthians 10 real quick. Let me show you a quick point that a lot of people don't understand and that they miss. You know what I'm saying? So 1 Corinthians chapter 10, and we'll get verse 1.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 10 and verse 1. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud.
Right, so all the Israelites in the wilderness, they was all underneath the cloud. Go ahead.
And all passed through the sea.
And they all passed through the Red Sea. Go ahead.
And were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud.
And they was all taught by Moses under the cloud. Go ahead.
And in the sea.
And in the sea. Go ahead.
And did all eat the same spiritual meat.
And then they all ate the same spiritual meat, was the commandments, which is the laws. Go ahead.
And did all drink the same spiritual drink.
And then they all drank from that spirit that Moses gave through them with his understanding of the commandments. Go ahead.
For they drank of that spiritual rock.
They drank of that spiritual rock. Go ahead.
That followed them.
That followed them. Go ahead.
And that rock was Christ.
And that rock was Christ. So who is it that gave Israel the understanding of the law, statutes, and commandments in the wilderness? It was Christ, right? So then when we go back to Exodus chapter 20, who is it that was in agreement? Who is it that gave Moses this understanding to give to the Israelites? Exodus chapter 20. So Christ. So if Christ said not to make any graven images, then how would, if he told us not to make a graven image then how would now he allow himself and be in agreement with him being an image being made of him now, and that's him? You get what I'm saying? So it can't represent Christ. Man probably said represents Christ, but Christ himself said not to have it, not to even make it. You get what I'm saying? Now get Acts chapter 19. All right, but what take just put some stuff on your mind when you think about it. You know what I'm saying? All right. Acts chapter 19. Is it? No, Acts 17. And Acts chapter 17, and we'll get verse 29.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 17 and verse 29.
We'll get verse 28.
Verse 28. For in him we live.
So in the Father we live. Go ahead.
And move.
And move. Go ahead.
And have our being, as certain also of your own poets have said. For we are also his offspring.
Go ahead.
For as much then as we are the offspring of God.
So as we are the offspring of the Father by being reborn by keeping his commandments, by coming back and being obedient, now we become the offspring of the Father. Right? Go ahead.
We ought not to think that the Godhead
We ought not to think. We ought not to think. We're commanded not to think. Go ahead.
is like unto gold,
That the Godhead is like unto gold. Go ahead.
or silver,
Or silver.
or stone,
Or stone.
graven by art and man's device.
So graven by man's device. So no matter what it is, the Father said we ain't to have no images. There is no image that represents Christ that Christ gave unto Israel. That's not the commandments. So we have an image, then we got to destroy it. We got to rid it from amongst ourselves and not be deceived and think that it's allowed. You know what I'm saying? So now, Deuteronomy chapter 7. What's up, bro? Deuteronomy chapter 7, and we'll get verse 4. Verse 5.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7.
Hey, can you mic it up close up? This is Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 5.
But thus shall ye deal with them.
So this is how the Most High said we are to deal with those gods and those images that was graven by man's art. Go ahead.
Ye shall destroy their
It
altars,
says ye shall destroy their altars. Go ahead.
and break down their images,
And then break down their images.
and cut down their groves,
ahead.
and burn their graven images with fire.
So the Most High said all those images we supposed to burn with fire. So they actually supposed to be non-existent. Because every image known to man that's created is supposed to be destroyed. And if they all were destroyed, then they would not be here. So these are the laws and the commandments of the Father that as being the Israelites, who are the black and Hispanics, who are the Israelites, we got to come back to. Because all these laws that we break, and it's the reason that we're in the condition that we're in, and it's the reason that we can't find our way out. But what do we do in today's time? Get Jeremiah chapter 17. And it should be verse 5. What do we do? Strive with his maker. So this is Jeremiah chapter 17. And we'll get verse 4.
Verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage.
So through captivity and through being destroyed as a people, the Most High said we have discontinued from our heritage
that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
So where do we get the images and everything that we have? We got them from our enemies. Go ahead.
In the land which thou knowest not.
In a land that we didn't know. Go ahead.
For ye have kindled a fire in my anger.
Because the Father, we kindled a fire in his anger to where he allowed us to be destroyed and fall away from everything that he gave us. Go ahead.
Which shall burn forever.
Go ahead.
Thus said the Lord.
So now the Father is continuing to say, even in the land of our captivity, because he's restoring us back to his heritage. Go ahead.
Cursed be the man that trusted in man.
The Most High said, cursed be all the black and Hispanics who are the Israelites that look to men and look for doctrines that allow them to sin. We got to come back and keep the commandments of the Father, because those laws that the world and that our pastors told us are done away with, they not done away with. So the Most High said, cursed be he that will listen to the doctrine of men and not follow the commandments of him. Go to Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 9. Because in doing so, what are we doing? When we look for an allowance, when we look for somebody to tell us it's okay to sin, what are we doing? Isaiah chapter 45 and 9.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 45 and verse 9. Woe unto him that striveth with his maker.
It says we striving with our maker. The Most High gave us strict commandments and what we supposed to do, and yet we bargain. Yet we try and argue, or we get upset, or we throw a fit whenever somebody show us out of the law. We say we ain't got to do that. Or we try and make some kind of excuse. The Most High said, it says, woe, destruction unto him that striveth with his maker, because the Most High told us what to do and what not to do. Go ahead.
Let the potsherds strive with the potsherds of the earth. Shall the clay say to him that fashioneth it, what makest thou? Or thy work? He hath no hands.
Right, so the Most High is like, how we going to agree, try and argue with him on what he said for us to do? And because we do that, we continue to get destroyed. Now get 2nd Ezra chapter 9. Or is it 2nd Ezra 7, I believe. 2nd Ezra chapter 7.
What is it?
Strike commandment. Second Ezra. Okay, 2nd Ezra chapter 7, and we'll get verse 20.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7 and verse 20. For there be many that perish in this life.
And this is the result. So everywhere we look in our communities, on the news, on social media, even stepping outside our doors, the Black and Hispanics who are the Israelites, we perish. We dying in the streets. We dying in the hospitals. We dying at home on hospice. The Most High said we pining away. When are we going to repent? When we going to come back to our Creator? So it says there be many that perish in this life. Go ahead.
Because they despise the law of God.
Because we despise the law of God. So if we want to know why we just can't have no luck, why we can't get ahead, why we can't get nowhere other than where we at, it's because we despising the laws of God. When the Father say, thou should not steal, we say, well, I need it. We say, you know what, I gotta have it. When the Most High tell a man and a man not to commit adultery, he say, but she fine. When the Most High tell a woman not to commit adultery, she say, well, he got a nice car. So everywhere in our life, we make excuses on why we cannot keep the law, and the Most High said, because of that, we perish. And death is all around us everywhere we look. Well, how did God create us from the beginning? He created us to be immortal. But what happened? Get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. We're going to come back there. So hold that. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. What was the state that we were supposed to have from the beginning? Because we don't understand this. We think we got one life to live, and after we die, that's it. That's a lie. Because there is something that comes after death that we don't keep the commandments, that we gonna get that. So this is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, and we'll get verse 23.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 23. For God created man to be immortal.
So God created you Black and Hispanics to be immortal. Go ahead.
And made him to be an image of...
And he made us to be his image. So if you wanted to know the righteousness, the fairness of the Father, we're supposed to get it from one another out of these laws, out of this book. Go ahead.
Of his own eternity.
And we're supposed to be a resemblance of his eternity. Go ahead. Nevertheless, go ahead.
Through envy of the devil.
Through envy of this world. Because we want a BMW. Because we want a house out in Clayton. Because we want $1 million in our bank account. Through envy of the devil, through envy of these nations, go ahead.
Came death into the world.
Came death into the world. So if we don't want to just die to death that the rest of the world dies, then we got to keep the commandments. Go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 9. So it says there be many in this life that perish. Because when the Bible say thou shalt not, we say who gonna make me? We say who gonna stop me? Who gonna tell me what I can and can't do? Go ahead.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, commandment.
God gave you Black and Hispanics, he gave us strict commandment, very strict, very narrow, no wiggle room. He didn't even give us a say so if we wanted to do it or not. He said, thou shalt. Go ahead. Such as Cain, go ahead.
What they should do to live.
What we should do to live. So the reason that we dying because we don't know what to do to live. Go ahead.
Even as they came.
Even as they came.
What they should observe to avoid punishment.
What we should be observing to avoid punishment. Get Proverbs chapter 7 and it should be verse 2. So how do we avoid punishment? How do we live here in this earth? How do we get life that was stolen from us? We feel was stolen from us. Proverbs chapter 7, and it should be verse 2. Go ahead.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 7 and 2. Keep my commandments and live.
So the Most High said what?
Keep my commandments and live.
He said keep his commandments and live. That's how we live. That's how we get life. That's how we progress. But what happens after death when we strive with our maker? Now let's get 2nd Ezra the 9th chapter. Because now we've hit rock bottom and we hit a time to where things are so bad to where now as a people we just accept death now. We accept dying. Thinking that, you know what, well, when I die, at least things will be better. Oh, we're going home. Homegoing celebration. What is left? What is for us when we die? This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 9.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9 and verse 9. Then shall they be in pitiful case.
So the Most High said, now in this life, we're in a pitiful case. And look at us. But all the tools to come up out of it is right before our eyes. We ignored it. We pulling away the shoulder. We turning our back on the Father. So in return, he turned his back on us. And now we're in a pitiful case. Go ahead.
Which now have abused my ways.
And we have abused the ways of the Father. Go ahead.
And they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torment.
And now we being tormented every way possible. We losing our children. We losing our houses. We losing our cars. We losing our jobs. Those are torments from the Father. Go ahead.
For such as in their life have received benefits.
Well, we all in our lifetime received an opportunity to get better. Go ahead.
And have not known me. And they that have told, they had loathed my law while they had yet liberty.
So the Most High said, because we hated the law when we had an opportunity to repent. Go ahead.
And when as yet place of repentance was open unto them.
And now the place of repentance, the opportunity to repent, is open to us now.
Understood not, but despised it. The same must know it after death by pain.
The Most High said if we continue to break his commandments, he said we're going to find out after death by pain. So what do we got to do? Matthew chapter 4. Matthew chapter 4. And then we're going to get 1 Peter. Because where does it start at? This is Matthew chapter 4, verse 17. So what do we got to do, so-called black and Hispanics, to come up out of our condition, for these torments to stop? Let's hear the word of Christ. Go ahead.
From that time Christ began to preach and to say, repent.
Christ said repent. Go ahead.
For the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
For the kingdom of heaven is at hand. What's up, brother in the hoodie? How you doing? Don't you want something better? We working on it. Well, do you know how we get better things? Let me show y'all how to get better things. All your heart's desire that's lawful. Proverbs chapter 24. Proverbs chapter 24. Let's find out what our Creator said will get us better things. Because we trying to get it our way, and our ways keep failing us. But there is help. You get what I'm saying? This is Proverbs chapter 24, and it should be verse 3. Proverbs chapter 24 and 3.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 24 and verse 3. Through wisdom is an house builded.
You see that the Father said through wisdom is a house builded. But what is the wisdom that the Father is wanting us to follow after? How about being afraid to break his commandments? So how about a house? Sis, would you say you want a big house? Okay, so the Father said, go ahead, read it from the top.
Through wisdom is an house builded.
The Most High say he'll build you a house. But in order for that house to be built, it's got to be built through wisdom. Go ahead.
And by understanding.
And by understanding, go ahead.
It is established.
So let's get the wisdom and the understanding. Job chapter 28. Job chapter 28, and we're going to get verse 28 because we all want a big house. We all want a nice car. You get what I'm saying? And the Father say it's very obtainable. But he said the way we obtain it is through wisdom. So now, what do you think wisdom is, sis? Is it an education? Is it a college degree? Let's see what our Creator said wisdom is. This is Job 28:28.
And unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom.
The Father said to fear him, that is wisdom. And the fear of the Lord is not disobeying his word. So when we don't disobey the Father's word, then we become wise. And when we become wise, then he start building that house that we want. Go ahead.
And to depart from evil,
And to depart from evil,
is understanding.
and when we go and we depart from all the things that we know we ain't supposed to do, that's how we get understanding. So now go back to Proverbs 24 and verse 3. Because we trying to get that house building. And the Father said through wisdom is a house building, and by
Verse 4, and by knowledge
and then he said by knowledge, go ahead.
shall the chambers be filled.
So now we got the wisdom, right? The wisdom is departing from iniquity. The understanding is not doing evil. And then he said by knowledge. So now what's the knowledge? Let's get Ecclesiastes chapter 19. Ecclesiastes chapter 19, the Most High said these things will set us up even here in this present world. This is Ecclesiastes 19 and 19.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 19 and verse 19. The knowledge of the
It
commandments.
says the knowledge of the commandments. That's the knowledge that the Father said we ought to have. But what's some of the commandments? Let's get 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 16. Some of you might not have knew. 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 16.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 3 and verse 16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God,
Right, so the Father said we are his temple, we his dwelling place. Go ahead.
and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy.
So the reason that we do still have a lot of problems is because we defiling our temple. That's why our health be out of order. So the Most High said by knowledge of the commandments, one of the commandments is not to defile our temple. How do we defile our temple in today's time? By smoking. Smoking cigarettes. What's up, brother? How you doing? We out here, man, we teaching the law. Man, we teaching that the black and Hispanics, we the Israelites. And as being the Israelites, we got a reward coming. Don't you want a reward? Let me see if you want something like this. Get Psalms chapter 103. Let's see if this is something that sparks your... See, is this something worth working for? You get what I'm saying? Psalms chapter 103, and we should start at verse 19. This is Psalms chapter 102, I'm sorry, and verse 19. Let's start at 19. Verse 17.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 102 and verse 17.
So who wrote the book of Psalms? King David, right? King David was a black man. The same blood running through his veins that we do, because we are the Israelites. David was an Israelite. So he wrote this for a purpose, and this is the purpose. Check this out.
He will regard the prayer of the destitute.
Because who's the destitute people on the earth today? We are, right? We God forsaken. We are in need of dire help. David giving us some confidence that the Most High is going to regard the prayer of the destitute. He actually heard our prayer. Go ahead.
And not despise their prayer.
Go ahead.
There shall be written for the generation to come.
So the thing that we're going to get into is written for the generation to come. Go ahead.
And the people which shall be created shall praise the Lord.
Jump up to verse 21.
Verse 21. To declare the name of the Lord in Zion.
So we have to declare the name of the Lord, which is Yahweh in the Hebrew, in Zion. And the way that we declare the name of the Lord is by teaching the commandments. Teaching us why we here on this earth. We're not here to be players, to be drug dealers, to be pro athletes, to be doctors, lawyers, carpenters. We here to be keepers of the commandments and to set a righteous example for all our brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
And his praise in Jerusalem, when the people are gathered together,
So when all the people are gathered together, go ahead,
and the kingdoms to serve the Lord.
and all the kingdoms come to serve the Lord. Go ahead.
He weakening my strength in the way.
Go ahead.
He shortening my days.
Go ahead.
I said, oh my God, take me not away.
So David was like, Lord, don't take me away because I want to see this. Go ahead.
In the midst of my days,
Go ahead.
thy years are throughout all generations.
So he acknowledged the Father that his years was throughout generations. Go ahead.
Of old hast thou laid the foundations of the earth,
Go ahead.
and the heavens are the work of thy hands.
So we acknowledge that all this that we see is the work of the Father's hands. So if all of this belongs to God and he created it, then is it easy for God to reward us and to change our state in this earth? Of course. Go ahead.
They shall perish,
So the Father said those nations, the kingdoms that's reigning over us now, they shall perish. Go ahead.
and thou shalt endure.
But we, the black and Hispanics who are the Israelites, we go to endure. Go ahead.
Yeah, all of them shall wax old like a garment,
And they gonna get old and wrinkly, just like we see all old and wrinkly nations now, don't we? Go ahead.
as a vesture shalt thou change
And
them.
as a vesture, the same way that we change clothes, we gonna change the nations. Go ahead.
And they shall be changed.
And they gonna be changed. They gonna give in. They ain't gonna fight back. It ain't gonna be no fight. Go ahead.
But thou art the
The
same,
Most High said we gonna be the same. And you know what that same is gonna look like? Let me give you a glimmer. Let me give you a taste of it. Get 2 Ezra 2. Let me show you a glimmer of what we gonna be like in the kingdom when the Father set us back up. You get what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be old and broken down on walkers and canes, on crutches and wheelchairs. Let's see, because an example, Christ was an older man when he died, right? In his late 30s. So let's see how he looked in the kingdom. So this is 2 Ezra chapter 2, and we'll get verse 42. So this is the prophet Ezra, a priest of the tribe of Levi. So the Most High showed him a vision of what our glory would be like. Check this out.
This is the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 2 and verse 42. I, Ezra, saw upon the Mount Zion a great people whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with songs. And in the midst of them there was a young man of high stature.
Right, so it says in the midst, so he saw a vision. This mountain was full of people, full of Israelites. And in the midst of all these people, he said he saw who?
A young man.
A young man. So Christ was in his late 30s when he died, right? So now he's saying he saw a young man. Go ahead.
Of high stature.
Of high stature. Not he didn't have back problems, so he had to be hunched over. He stood up tall, of high stature. Go ahead.
Taller than all the
And
rest.
he was taller than all the rest. Go ahead.
Upon every one of their heads he set crowns,
Upon every one of their heads he set crowns. Go ahead.
and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly.
So Ezra saw the Christ, because remember, when we read David's account of what the Father showed him, he said we ain't gonna be changed. He said, and our years ain't gonna have no end. So when we get there, we ain't gonna be older men. We're gonna be young and full of strength. Now get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3. So let's see how we gonna be in. Let's see how we gonna be in that strength. Are we gonna just be normal, tired and worn down? Let's see what kind of energy we gonna have. So not only are we young, so this is Wisdom of Solomon 3 and 7.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3 and verse 7.
So check this out.
And in the time of their visitation,
In the time of our visitation, when the Father restore us back into our natural order, go ahead.
they shall shine.
We gonna what?
They shall
We
shine.
gonna shine, brother. We ain't gonna be dull and played out. What mascara? We gonna be beautiful. We gonna be glorious. Go ahead.
And run.
And we gonna do what?
And
No,
run.
we gonna walk. Go ahead.
And run.
We gonna be in a wheelchair scooting along. Go ahead.
And run
Go ahead.
to and fro.
Two back and forth. All over. Go ahead.
Like sparks.
Like sparks. What does a spark do? Oh, it's all over, boy. It's all over. Like sparks. Go ahead.
Among the stubble.
Among the stubble. That's how we gonna be in our kingdom. So is that not something worth fighting for? Is that not something worth being on? Now, go back to Psalms 103 because there's more. So now, when David said our years ain't gonna have no end, this is how we're gonna be. We're gonna be in our youth, young and strong, and we gonna run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. So now, this is Psalms chapter 102, and we'll get verse 26 again. So now, we got how we gonna be. Let's see how the nation's gonna be.
This is Psalms 102 and verse 26. They shall perish.
Oh, they gonna perish. They gonna die. They gonna get old and they gonna die. But our years are gonna have no end. Go ahead.
But thou shalt endure.
The Most High said we gonna endure in that same fashion that you just learned about. Go ahead.
Yeah, all of them shall wax old like a garment.
And they gonna get old and wrinkly, man.
As a vesture thou shalt change them, and they shall be changed.
They shall be changed. Go ahead.
But thou art the
We
same.
gonna be the same, bro. We gonna be strong and all full of energy. Go ahead.
And thy years
And our years
shall have no end.
are never dying. Never not wanting to get old. Nowadays, we dread getting old because the way we used to move, we know we ain't gonna be able to move like that no more. To where we remember being 16, 17, 18 years old, full of strength. The Most High said, don't worry because our years ain't gonna have no end. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead.
The children of thy
And
servants,
then the children of who?
thy
So
servants,
all the other nations, they're gonna be what to us? They
servants,
gonna be servants. The so-called Europeans, who ain't he esteemed as great in the earth now? The European, he the greatest man on the planet, ain't he? According to himself, he's in power, he's got money, he's got the glory. All these nations that are high esteemed, the Most High said they are our servants. And not only are they our servants, but who? Thy children. Read it from the top again, verse 28.
verse 28. The children of thy servants shall
They
continue.
gonna continue, so we gonna have a never-ending workforce, never-ending. To where the same way that we die and we leave our children, they gonna die and leave theirs. And you know what they gonna do? Get Isaiah chapter 2. Let's see what they gonna do. Are they gonna buck up? Or they gonna be as we are? What they getting promoted? They getting a promotion, whether they believe it or not. Let's see what they being promoted to. Isaiah chapter 2, and we'll get verse 1.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 2 and verse 1. Judah and Jerusalem.
So the Most High is restoring us back. So now jump down to verse 3.
Verse 3. And many people shall go and say,
So all the many people is the other nations that hate us. Oh, they gonna humble themselves and they gonna go and say, go ahead.
Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his way.
We being the children of the Father, the Israelites, we gonna teach and instruct all the other nations his ways. Go ahead.
And we will walk in his paths.
And we gonna walk in the Father's path, and they gonna walk too. Ain't gonna be no more homosexuality. Ain't gonna be no more lesbianism. Ain't gonna be no LGBT, whatever they want to call it. They gonna keep the command, and ain't gonna be no more stealing. They gonna humble themselves, and they gonna get put to death. Go ahead.
And we will walk in his paths.
Go ahead.
For out of Zion shall go forth the law,
Because out of the Israelites, the law is gonna triumph and be all over the earth. Go ahead.
and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people.
So we gonna judge the nations, and we gonna rebuke them people and what they getting promoted to. Go ahead.
And they shall beat their swords.
So all them guns and all them missiles and all them tanks, what they gonna do with them? They gonna do what?
Beat their swords into plowshares,
Into plowshares. Oh, they gonna get out there in that field, and they gonna work. Go ahead.
and their spears into pruning
Oh,
hooks.
you better go plant that garden, and I better see nothing but green, and get rid of all the weeds. Go ahead.
Nation shall not lift up sword against nation,
Oh, they ain't gonna say not one word about war. They better not even look funny. Go ahead.
Neither shall they learn war anymore.
It ain't gonna be no more war because we gonna be in power, we gonna rule, and we gonna be the demanding force on the earth. Ain't that something worth fighting for? So do you know what you have to do to get it? What you have to do to get it? Get Matthew chapter 19. You had something? Okay. Let's see what the Father say we got to do to get this. That's very well worth it. You never had nobody paint your picture on what's in store for us, have you? So, immortality, being young again, never getting old, never crying, having an everlasting workforce, and you can put your feet up and sit back and rest. That's what's in store for us. So now, this is what we got to do to get it. Matthew chapter 19 and 16.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 19 and verse 16. And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do, that I may have eternal life?
So this is the question. What do I do to be part of this thing that's destined for us? Go ahead.
And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one.
So we got to acknowledge that there is none good but one. Go ahead.
That is God.
That is the Father. So everything that the Father gave to us from Genesis to Revelation is good. We got to stop looking at the Bible like it's the death of us. It actually is supposed to be the death of us because the adulterer man, he's supposed to die. The thief, he's supposed to die. The alcoholic, brother, he's supposed to die. You got to kill that spirit. And you got to stop being overtaken in strong drink. Because being overtaken in strong drink, you cannot serve the Father. You get what I'm saying? You got to humble yourself. And then, yeah, you can't even protect yourself. So people can get the best of you right now. Push you over, you can't even get back up. Then what? You out here hurting the street. Go ahead.
If thou wilt enter into life,
If we gonna enter into life, if we gonna inherit this thing that we read about, go ahead.
keep the
We
commandments.
got to keep the commandments. One of the commandments that we got to keep, that all our men we do, you got to leave that beard. Stop shaving. That's effeminate. That's for homosexuals. The European gave us that here in America and said, we got it from the ancient Egyptians, but now America is the modern day Egypt. And we look to him on one side. He said, if a man ain't clean shaven, oh, he wrinkly, he's scraggly. When, how did the Christ live? Christ had a beard. And he was not ashamed of the gray hairs. Because what are gray hairs? It's supposed to be our experience. Exactly. It's supposed to be. So now you got to leave that beard and you got to let it grow because we are the lions, man, of the tribe of Judah. And we got to roar. Well, we got to roar this Bible. And we got to blow it on every corner and every house, every place on this planet. Because when we do so, the Father said the kingdom is going to come. Then the end will be. So we need the laws in our communities because without the laws, this is what we get. We sitting around waiting to die. We drinking ourselves trying to find some kind of escape route, right? So where now we medicate, standing in trash. Now we meditate in alcohol. But how do we change our mind state? Get Psalm chapter 1. How do we change that? How do we feel good about ourselves? How do we find something positive in all the temptation and struggles that we have? What do we do? Psalms chapter 1 and verse 1.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 1 and verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly.
First of all, we got to stop walking in the counsel of the ungodly. You know what the counsel of the ungodly is? These false doctrines. These so-called prosperity doctrines. Because what are we getting out of? You go to church? You go to church? You haven't been what you used to go, right? You stopped going because what? You wasn't getting on, nothing was changing, was it? You go in there, they sing a few songs, how you emotional, and you go right back to the same hymn. Right? That's walking in the counsel of the ungodly. Because the Most High did not send those men. Because what's supposed to be in all the prophets and pastors' mouths, get Malachi chapter 2. And we're going to come right back to that. Feel the hurt of my heart. Malachi chapter 2 is right before might know. It's right before the Apocrypha, the last book. So right before it, after that. So Malachi chapter 2. So this is what we supposed to. This is what we supposed to get from our teachers and our ministers and our pastors and our teachers. So this is Malachi chapter 2 and verse 7.
This is the book of Malachi, chapter 2 and verse 7. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge.
The priest's lips are supposed to keep knowledge. The knowledge that they supposed to keep is the knowledge of the commandments, which is the doctrine of life. We don't have life in us because we don't have the commandments. We walk around void, without hope, without anything positive because we don't have the commandments in our lives. So we don't have nothing to look forward to because all we see is what we see, and that's destruction, that's pain and suffering. And we think that that's all it's going to ever be until we come back to the law, because the priest's lips are supposed to keep knowledge.
And they should seek the law at his mouth.
We're supposed to seek the law at his mouth. So all the teachers and all the churches and all the congregations, they supposed to have the laws. And we supposed to go and get the law. Because the reason that we are in the situation we in is because we without the law. Our house is out of order because we ain't got the law. Our wives leave us, run off because we didn't have the law. Our children get gunned down in the street because they somewhere breaking the law, and the Most High sent his judge to deliver a judgment. We got to come back. You get what I'm saying? So Jeremiah chapter 8, last one, brother. All right, brother. All praises, brother. Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 11.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 8 and verse 11.
Right, so the pastors, the reason that you still in the situation, because even going to church, you left because they healed the hurt. How? Slightly. They took your mind off of the pain and suffering slightly. With a few songs, with a prosperity doctrine, with all just have faith, have faith, have faith. We don't even understand what faith is. Because what does faith do? It causes us to move. It causes us to do something. Right? What's another word for faith? How about believe? Right? When you say believing and having faith is the same? Well, those words are interchangeable. When you believe in something, you have faith in something. So Ecclesiastes 32 and 24, real quick. Because they tell us to have faith, but what does it mean to have faith, and what does it mean to believe? What is that going to do? You get what I'm saying? Ecclesiastes chapter 32 and 24. Check this out.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 32 and verse 24. He that believeth in the Lord taketh heed to the commandments.
It says, he that believeth in the Lord, he that had faith in the Lord, supposed to take heed to the commandments. So that's how they healed our hurt slightly, because they told us to believe, but they didn't tell us that by believing, we supposed to take heed to the commandments. Therefore, after the song is over, after the dancing was over, we walk right back out of a building and go right back home, right back to the struggle. And the same sins, which bring the same judgments. That's like that. The word, that's like insanity. Insanity means to do the same thing over and over and still expect a different outcome. So we have actually committed insanity by continuing to break the law and think that God one day is going to change his mind about the judgment. But we got to come back to the Father and keep those commandments and try. Put forth all, last one, and then go to the 41st chapter. The 41st chapter. So Ecclesiastes chapter 41. 43 and 30. This out.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 43 and verse 30. When ye glorify the Lord, exalt him as much as ye can.
So we supposed to, when we glorify the Most High, when we acknowledge that his way is right, when we acknowledge that the commandment is the right way to go and what we're supposed to follow, it says exalt him as much as you can. The way we exalt the Father is by being obedient. Because when we keep the commandments, other people give the Most High the glory. And be like, wow. You know what I'm saying? You was able to teach your wife how? A brother, just like a man and his wife. His wife is keeping the commandments, and you got a wife that may not be keeping the commandments. You ask this brother, how do I get this in order? And he tell you who gets the glory. The Father. It make you praise the Most High even more because you be like, man, this is what I've been looking for all my life. Go ahead.
For even yet will he far exceed, and when ye exalt him,
When we exalt him, go ahead.
put forth all your strength.
We got to put forth some strength. We got to try. We got no effort right now. The Father's saying we can do more. So we got to, with everything that lieth in us, we got to try. And then the Most High, when he see that spirit in us, then he send the comforter, which is his spirit, which eases the suffering and tells us, hey, this is for a purpose. So everything that we need is written in this book. And this is our inheritance. And when we come back to it, then we have the ability to change our circumstance, because now we become meat for the Father's use. And now we become obedient children, and one father don't love their children. One father don't give their children everything that they possess. So we are the children of the Most High. And when we be obedient the same way that his son, the Christ, is sitting on his right hand in his glory, waiting for this earth to be given back to him, how did Christ get that? By keeping the commandments. Just hold off on that, brother, and I'm going to show you why. All right? All right, brother? All right. So let me show you something real quick. Ephesians. Isaiah chapter 5. Check this out. Did you know that it's not lawful to drink every day? That there is a day where no drinking at all should be happening. And that day is today. And I'm going to show you. But first of all, this is Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 11.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 5 and verse 11. Woe unto them.
The Bible says woe. Woe means destruction. Woe means death. Go ahead.
That rise up early,
Woe unto him that rise up early in the morning. Go ahead.
that they may follow strong drink.
That they may follow strong drink. The Most High said destruction unto a man or woman that wakes up early in the morning and they drink it. So you might not have never knew that. The Father is trying to show you how to deliver yourself out of the destruction that you're walking in. Early in the morning, you ain't supposed to be drinking. And the Most High, to show it, the Most High even had Peter rebuke the Israelites that came up to Pentecost and said, these men be not drunken, being only the third hour of the day. Bruh, it's 1 o'clock. And we've been out here for a few hours, and the time you walked up here stumbling. So it started before we got here. Say it again. So let us show you. Because you understood. Even in the intoxication, the Most High showed you what was in store for us, right?
When was the last time you been completely sober?
Exactly. The Father said, whoa, man. So you can't be drinking early in the day. Then,
The one that sold you that, he gonna tell you, he gonna sell it to you. to your brain and your liver can't take no more. Your heart, you want to drop dead. If he don't cut, he gonna go get the next person that's gonna keep buying it over and over. But
It can't look at Jesus.
that's what we talking about.
It can't look at my mama.
How old are you? 19. And that alcohol that did that to you. Oh, you 19. But you can't do that to yourself, brother. You gotta, because eventually, what you don't want to happen don't happen. And sometimes you probably feel like you don't care. He finna hear it. He love hearing it. He finna hear it. When he hit it, he's trying to show it to you. You gotta stop doing that to yourself, man. You better start finish your life right, man. How would you like to redeem yourself, man?
I redeem myself right now.
Well, let's hear it. Go ahead, man.
So this is Isaiah 5 and 11. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 5 and verse 11. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink.
The Father said, whoa, man. So you got to stop getting up early in the morning, and the first thing be on your mind is you got to get something to drink. Going down to the gas station, the liquor store to get me something to taste. Yeah, they probably know you by name. They probably know exactly what you want, don't they? You gotta read it again.
Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink,
Right, go ahead.
that continue until night, till wine inflame them.
So the Most High said, when you do that, the wine is gonna inflame you, man. It's gonna destroy you. You're gonna lose all soberness to where you can do any and everything.
That's why you be sick.
Yeah.
Everybody that drink, be sick. You get sick too. That's why you be sick. You like keep on going. Be sick. If you stop, your sickness will stop.
Exactly.
Hey, wait.
Exactly.
He explaining the woe. If you stop, the sickness will stop.
And the heart,
It say it inflamed you. So now get 30. Ecclesiastes 37. So now check this out. So would you say that alcohol has caused you to hurt yourself? Be with me. We finna read it. 37.
Got security on you, man.
37. So would you say that alcohol has caused you to hurt yourself? A whole lot. It's caused you to lose some things, right? Family, friends, your woman. Where your woman? You got a woman? Did you have one once upon a time? Never. You got kids? Did you used to work? Never worked. Never. You never had nothing. How'd you get these clothes and things? See that? No. That should show you that you straight inflamed by the wine, bro. To where now you've lost all even recollection of anything. The wine is actually in control. Ecclesiastes 37, and we'll get verse 17. Check this out. 27.
this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 37 and verse 27. My son, prove thy soul and thy life, and see what is evil for it.
So we helping you to see, we helping you to examine your life. And upon examining your life, the scriptures say, see what's evil for it. So right now, alcohol, brother, is evil for you. Stop touching it. Just listen. Alcohol is evil for you. It's destroying you. Go ahead.
And give not that unto it.
Most High says, stop giving yourself to alcohol. You can't drink. You can't handle drinking. So you know the Father's going to continue to torment you. And when you sober up, because it's going to come a time when you ain't drinking. You may wake up in the morning with a headache, and then you going to wish for something better. But because you don't get nothing better, you know what you're going to do? You're going to fall back into the same snare of the devil where you're going to get another bottle trying to wash away everything you're going through.
That's why you're looking at it. You had that headache. You got it.
Yeah. So we gonna close it down, and you sober up, brother, so that you can actually hear the word of the Lord. And then not only that,
Now you gonna go read Joel.
exactly,
Now you gotta go read Joel.
Exactly.
So you want somebody to read to you.
Matthew 26.
That's you. That's you. That's you. What John is? What John is? John.
Matthew chapter 26. Just listen, brother. Matthew 26 and 6.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 6. Now when Yahushua the Christ was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, To what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much, and given to the poor. When Christ understood it, he said unto them, Why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman had done be told for a memorial of her.
Right, so the Most High, so Christ, he gave a commandment and said, wherever the gospel is preached throughout the whole world, he said, make mention of this sister Mary, who set an example of Israel on how to break her spirit, how to be sorry for her sin, and to actually repent and change. So because of that, Christ said, wherever the gospel is preached, remember and make mention of this sister as a memorial of her. And with that, we're going to say shalom.
Go on. There you go.